A year ago, GSK were building facilities in Europe to maintain a continuity of supply if there was no mutual recognition of standards. Have other businesses been doing that? And have any of, particularly Mr. Sahota, has your company or Mark, have your companies, your members had to add facilities in Europe? Or as global businesses, are you able to use your existing footprints?
I think AstraZeneca are on record as saying, along with GSK, they've had to build duplicate laboratories for batch test releasing on the continent. They're clearly very frustrated about that because this is essentially duplicating what is available here.
Have any of the decisions of your members been irrevocable? I mean, are there jobs that have been permanently lost to the UK or investments that have been permanently lost to the UK?
Well, I think we can see with the movement of the EMA to Amsterdam, undoubtedly there are some regulatory jobs which have moved there. There are some qualified persons jobs which will be moving there, and those are not going to come back to this country. I think at this stage, those are in the main the types of jobs that have moved. But clearly, depending on the sort of outcome that we get, there will probably be other jobs which will be dependent as decisions come up in the natural cycle.
Are you confident that the technology and indeed the resources are in the ports for this to happen? Because it has to be, if exporting, you're going to have it close proximity, I imagine, to the ports, particularly for the insulin and various others.
So I'll talk about this, and then Pinder maybe can talk about some of the challenges with the trucks. So there isn't any warehousing, cold chain warehousing at the ports, so we have to do that sort of off that. So still getting things through is one of the key things. I want to comment about...
I will do. So our cold storage is not near the port, so that's in the warehouses that we use at the moment, and that's the facilities we're accessing for the additional stock. A key bit of detail that I think needs to be explored and is a determinant of supply in the UK is how long will the border delays be?
Yeah.
And in some of the notices we've had, they say it could be a number of weeks or so. But the things we need to think through is how long will a lorry be stuck at a border, and it can keep ticking over refrigeration for a period of time. But then if you go, and if that period is long, and we need to look at what long is, then you're into, I understand from the logistics teams, you're into issues of number of drivers you might need from a health and safety point of view, and you need to double up on drivers, and so there's an exacerbation of issues that can crop up depending on the border delay, which I think is a complete unknown at the moment.
It's an unknown. Okay, that's interesting. Because if I move on to the... sorry.
One point on that, if it's okay, Albert. Yesterday, the Health Secretary confirmed, I think at the Health Select Committee, that the government is compiling a list of medicines most at risk of shortages in the event of a no deal. The government are proposing 6 weeks of stockpiling. Is that about right, 6 weeks?
Well, I think 6 weeks is the guidance given by government in terms of how long they think it'll take to get through a border. I think what is encouraging is the government have drawn up a list of essential medicines, and essentially what we're doing collectively in the group is we're working through medicine by medicine, and we're trying to work out, if we had a problem with this medicine, what are the alternatives which are available. So we're getting into very, very detailed medicine by medicine planning. I'm encouraged with the progress on that. But as we've said, stockpiling in itself won't be enough. And we need to work through other things to do things. So I think we have seen the government lease a number of ferries, so they're trying to take control of other mechanisms to get into the country. And we have, seen conversations going on about air freight. These things are very challenging, and we have to work them through on a medicine-by-medicine basis. So if we take an example of, say, a stem cell medicine, where you take a bit of DNA out of a patient, you need to get it to where it's processed. There's one plant in Europe where it's processed. You have to get it there in 24 hours. It's processed, and you have to get it back in sort of 36 to 72 hours to infuse it back into the patient. You can't take it through an airline because it can't be x-rayed. So those are the sorts of things that we have to work out. What is our backup plan? Because you can't stockpile someone's DNA.